This is my first rant of the day. There's another one coming, but I wanted to deal with the whole Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro dust up that everybody in conservative alternative media is talking about right now. Apparently, Steve Crowder, and I like a lot of his stuff, and I do watch Getting Louder with Crowder from time to time, less than I used to. I used to watch him quite a bit. But I enjoy Crowder. I think he was very innovative. He was certainly cutting edge when he first began doing what he was doing. You know, Rush Limbaugh changed talk radio, and Steven Crowder changed the way conservatives communicate. See, what Rush Limbaugh did to radio, basically coming on, not having guest or a guest format, fielding phone calls, but also giving pretty deep, insightful, intellectually complex yet simplistic in presentation approaches to conservative politics, and his humor. Of course, we all love the parody songs that he would play. Rush Limbaugh changed talk radio. He invented conservative talk radio, and there became 1,000 knockoffs like him. Well, Steven Crowder, being somewhat younger than Rush, came from the vantage point of what if there was something like a conservative, if you will, traditional Christian version of like a Saturday Night Live type format that was kind of cutting edge, biting sarcastic humor, and hit some of the social issues, the cultural issues head on from a logical but conservative viewpoint, and using some humor, getting people that were watching them, in particular young people, to understand that conservatives were not as they were portrayed by the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media. And he did that, and he did it well, and there are other guys that do it. Now, all of these guys, especially Crowder, who was like a pioneer at this, he's got now, I think it's close to 6 million subscribers here on YouTube. 6 million. That's a lot. That makes him a player. Well, over the years, what's happened is conservative have begun launching their own platforms, their own networks. You've got Glenn Beck launched The Blaze. Ben Shapiro launched Daily Wire. PragerU has got their thing, and I mean, there's all kinds of this stuff now out there. And Fox News is no longer, quote, the only conservative, and they're really not conservative, the only conservative media outlet on cable news. You've got One America News, you've got Newsmax. So, all of this stuff has been evolving. And Steven Crowder was offered a contract. He left the Blaze's platform, and he was offered a contract. He did not say with who. The Daily Wire outed themselves today, saying it was us. And Crowder basically showed, the contract, but he had things blacked out, so people couldn't tell who it was. But people in the loop were kind of guessing it's the Daily Wire. Ben Shapiro wants him. And basically, what they were offering him was $50 million for 4-year contract, which is a little over $12 million a year. Which, if he does 190 episodes a year, that's like $65,000 an episode they were going to pay him. But what's happened is people have gotten into the minutia of the contract, and he didn't like the idea. Here he is, he's bringing over his 6 million subscribers to their platform, his 6 million people that they can now potentially sell things to, because these guys are all into their merch, selling their t-shirts and all their stuff. I get it. It's how they sustain themselves. I'll get into that in a minute, why I don't do it. And he's looking at this and he's like, wait a minute, I bring you my show, and then you're going to, quote, own it. And if he didn't deliver the 100, I think it's 196,000 shows, if he didn't, for every one he didn't deliver, they would penalize him $100,000. Okay, so you're paying 65. If he doesn't produce one, you're going to bang him 100. But they've got expenses on their end. But the bottom line is, he's got enough subscribers. Steven Crowder could launch his own thing, and he'll make he'll make twice, if not three times that kind of money. Because this market of alternative media, in particular, these new social platforms that are conservative oriented, this is just the beginning, and they're exploding right now. And of course, everybody in the YouTube conservative world is talking about this, and they're all telling him, Stephen, don't do it. And then there are a couple people, that they're out there as the mouthpieces, defending Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire. And what's gotten lost is the bigger point Stephen was trying to make. The con of Christian media. So everybody's talking about the contract. Who cares? Bottom line is, look, this is a capitalist society that we live in, whether you're a liberal or a conservative. If you are paying for something, then you want what you pay for. And yeah, they're not just going to give you $50 million because of your name and what it is you have to say. They're going to own you. And what Crowder was really wanting to point out was they're going to own your content. And it isn't just that, if you fail to deliver a show, you get penalized $100,000. They're going to tell you what you can and can't say, who you can and can't have as a guest, what topics you will steer away from. They own not simply the concept of the show, they own you. And he was making the point, and this is what's gotten lost today. Nobody's talking about this, except I think maybe Mark Dice. Some of these so-called conservative outlets, they're really not conservative. They're grifters. They have discovered they can make a buck with a conservative message. And ta-da, they had a come to Jesus moment and became conservative. Bullhawk. The truth is, I've been talking about this for years. For years. My red pill moment, my come to Jesus moment, happened even before the 2016 election cycle. Ann in Heat Coulter. I refer to her as well, never mind. I won't say what I refer to her as. Ann Coulter, for quite a while, conservatives were convinced, oh man, Ann Coulter, she is it. The way she sticks it to liberals. Oh, she's sticking it to them all right. All of her liberal boyfriends that are her arm candy. Oh, yeah. Ann Coulter made some money writing conservative books, and it became a grift. It became a job. She's not really that rooted of a conservative. She was a big Mitt Romney guy. Then she was a Chris Christie guy. She was Donald Trump. Turned her back on Trump because he didn't build the wall fast enough. I mean, she is what she is. It's a grift for her. It's a way for her to make money. The same was true with Bill O'Reilly. Same thing. And I talked about that. And a couple of years ago, I really got disenchanted with Ben Shapiro. I got actually really disenchanted with him during the 2016 election cycle because he was a never Trumper. And I come out with that little nasally, whiny voice. And, here's a guy that is pretty much a middle-aged guy. His big claim to fame and what made him a rising star within conservative circles, and the same was true a little bit for Ann Coulter. They go on to college campuses and they debate. And of course, it always creates an uproar. It always creates headlines, students that get butthurt that there's a conservative, quote unquote, going to speak on their campus, and they protest and they go on hunger strikes, or they throw mustard on the administration building windows, and the media covers it, and that was really the birth of woke culture. Don't miss that. But Ben Shapiro goes on and he wants to debate with college kids, which isn't all that hard. Notice though, he won't debate anybody his own age, and he certainly won't debate anybody older. That's your tell. That's your tip off about Ben Shapiro. And so what Crowder was warning, and I think it's a warning that you need to heed, just because somebody calls himself a conservative doesn't make it so. What policies are they espousing? I mean, we have gotten, and I think some of you have really had your red pill moment during COVID. I mean, a lot of those voices over at Faux Pas News, formerly known as Fox News, they were all in. Hannity was all in initially. He began to back off. I don't know that he backed off over any great epiphany or self-awareness of doing some research and realizing, hold it, he panders. See, there are guys who are outright lying in conservative media, espousing things that when the camera gets turned off, they just laugh because they don't believe what they just said. I think Bill O'Reilly's one of them. Hannity's just like a non-thinker. He reads a teleprompter. He is the conservative version of Don Lemonhead. I mean, Hannity comes out every night. He's got 5 thoughts in his head. And he's going to repeat them and regurgitate them over and over and over for an hour. And every guest that he has on, he will interrupt any answer they give to any question and ask them, do you agree with what I said in my opening monologue? I would love one of his guests to say, well, I didn't hear your opening monologue, and I thought you brought me on here to interview me about what I had to say about something. Why are you really that insecure I have to sit here and reaffirm what you already said? So there's really there's one person over at Fox News that's worth watching because he doesn't follow the script, and that's Tucker Carlson. Jesse Waters covers a lot of the same things that Tucker does. I don't know how much that's really by Jesse's own core convictions. I don't know how much of that is shtick. And again, Jesse, because for so long, I guess I remember him back when he was doing, Waters World with Bill O'Reilly. Again, I have a hard time taking him always seriously. I don't know, is he like Babylon Bee right now? And as far as, gut check, I personally am serious. I'm not just saying this. I don't find him funny, so I don't watch him. Now, a lot of the guys on here that do, because they sell their t-shirts, their hats, their coffee mug. I get it. That's how they make their living. I'm not making a living at this. I don't get paid anything. My channel receives no money from YouTube, no matter how many views it gets. I get nothing. I don't have a Patreon thing where people can come tip me. I don't have any of that. I don't have a Venmo account for this. I don't sell t-shirts. And some of the, I buy some stuff once in a while from Mark Dice. I understand this is his job. This is what he does. And I do like to help him out from time to time. And there's a couple of others I've bought some stuff from. I don't sell any of that. Everything I give you here, this is just strictly my place to come and to vent. It's my rant. But see, some of these guys, it really has become, don't miss this, a business. It's business. So who cares between the fine print of the Crowder, Ben Shapiro contract and the money and the whatever? What Crowder is warning you about needs to be heeded. A lot of these so-called conservative media outlets are not as conservative as you think they are. And because this is a business, they will cut the throat of anybody they think cuts into their audience. When reality is, it shouldn't be a left-right thing. This is a right-wrong thing. It's not about liberal versus conservative. It's about them, the ruling class, versus us. And on that, we need to unite. And that's why I want some people here on YouTube that are not conservative, and they don't pretend to be. But boy, are they having some come-to-Jesus moments, like Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore is actually starting to ask the questions, finally. Well, they lied to us about so much regarding the science and the pandemic. What else are they lying about? Like climate change? Jimmy Dore is actually starting to add. It's like, I'm getting excited because I'm watching some of these progressives actually get red pilled, and they are having an epiphany. And the reality is true conservatives and true liberals actually have more in common than we don't. Now, we're never going to agree on certain social issues. We're just not. But we are going to agree on things like freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of expression, freedom to debate. Have we ever actually seen an honest-to-goodness real debate between Anthony Fauci and another science health expert that has a different view? Look at that. The powers that be are coming. No, I'm just kidding. Jet flew overhead. I live about a half an hour from an Air Force airstrip. Have we ever seen Anthony Fauci ever really have an honest-to-goodness scientific debate? Of course not. Of course not. There are scientists out there who think climate change is bunk. It's bullhock. Have we ever seen that debate? Of course not. Of course not. But hey, it's all right. Because all those old guys at the World Health Forum, WEF, led by Klaus Schwab, they're going to set it all right, and that's going to be my next rant. But just remember, just because they call themselves conservative media, I mean, when they all start regurgitating the same stories over and over, and when all of the so-called conservative media outlets are all pro this Ukraine proxy war, this thing that we should not be involved in at all, tells you all you need to know. So, thumbs up to Crowder. Fight the good fight of faith, my friend.